Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling Cartoon Network, specifically its presence in Israel. We've got a really cool source this time around, a video essay completely in Hebrew, where a fan kind of reminisces about Cartoon Networks like Golden Age in Israel, which for them was like between 2003 and 2009, and try to unpack this, explore this nostalgia, uncover some neat facts, and see if we can like connect it all to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Of like changing media landscapes and the impact of our childhood favorites.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating how like strongly this person connects to Cartoon Network, you know, saying it feels like they watched it their whole life, even though it was only around for those like 6 years. I think it really highlights the power of those like formative viewing experiences.
Right. Yeah. It's like those 6 years became their entire childhood through the lens of Cartoon Network. And speaking of powerful memories, they specifically mention watching Ed and Eddy's Big Picture show right before the channel was replaced, and how that solidified the memory. It makes you wonder if there's like a psychological reason why those final moments become so vivid.
There's definitely something to be said for how powerful closure can be, especially when it's, you know, tied to something we care about. It's like the final episode creates a mental bookmark, encapsulating the whole experience. And Ed and Eddy is a great example to bring up here. It had a 10-year run, which is pretty remarkable, I think, for a children's cartoon. It really speaks to the show's ability to stay relevant and engaging over such a long period of time. Why do you think it lasted for so long?
Yeah, I think it has to do with the humor. Like, it was this perfect blend of slapstick and witty dialogue that could appeal to like both kids and adults.
Yeah.
And plus the characters, while exaggerated, had this realness to them. I mean, everyone knew an Ed and an Eddy growing up.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah. And the animation style itself was so unique and memorable. That kind of creative visual identity helps a show stand out from the crowd, and I think contributes to its long-term appeal. But this brings up an interesting point. The speaker also talks about the decline of Hayladim, which is a popular Israeli children's channel. They even mention shows from its later years like The Greenhouse, but there's still this sense of longing for the channel's earlier days. Do you think this is like a common sentiment, like that there are these certain eras of childhood programming that just hit differently?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think we all have those golden ages of TV that we look back on with those rose-tinted glasses, but makes you wonder what drives that sense of decline, right? Is it just nostalgia, or is there something more objective?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The speaker definitely believes that there's been like a drop in quality, specifically mentioning a rise in less appealing content, possibly cheaper productions. And I think it's worth exploring that further. Is this perception purely subjective, or are there like tangible shifts in the industry that might explain this? Like, for instance, are there changes in animation techniques or storytelling trends or even target demographics that could be contributing to this feeling?
Yeah, it's interesting to consider how the business side of things might impact the creative output. I mean, if a network is prioritizing shows with lower production costs, I mean, it stands to reason that the overall quality might shift as well.
Precisely. And the speaker's comparison of Cartoon Network to Arut's Hayladim suggests this might be like a broader trend in children's programming, not just isolated to one channel. It really makes you think about the forces that are shaping what kids are watching today.
Absolutely. And on that note, let's dive into some specifics about the shows themselves. The speaker is clearly a big fan of Ed and Eddy, as we've already discussed, and codename Kids Next Door also gets a special shout out. It's fascinating to see how these particular shows resonated with them.
It really shows the power of individual taste,
you know,
but there's also a broader conversation to be had about what makes a show successful. Like, why do some cartoons capture the imagination of entire generations while others just kind of fade into obscurity? Is it the characters, the humor, style, or is it something less tangible, like the ability to tap into like universal themes or anxiety?
Yeah, it's like trying to crack the code of pop culture success, right? And speaking of cracking codes, code name Kids Next Door really nailed that secret society vibe, which I think resonates with kids' inherent desire for independence and rebellion. It allows them to imagine themselves as part of this this cool underground movement fighting against the tyranny of adults.
That's a great observation, and it highlights how children's cartoons, despite their like seemingly simple exteriors, can actually tackle some pretty sophisticated themes.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of specific shows, it's worth noting that not every cartoon on Cartoon Network was a hit with his viewer. They actually single out Oswald and Samurai Jack as shows that they that they weren't fans of.
Totally understandable. Even within a channel or era we love,
Yeah.
there will always be shows that appeal to different tastes. And it's interesting that they specifically mentioned disliking the final season of Samurai Jack. That raises the question of how expectations and nostalgia can influence our perception of a show, When a beloved series takes a turn that doesn't resonate with fans can be...
Like that feeling of betrayal when a band you love completely changes their sound, right? But I'm curious about their critique of Oswald. What do you think it was about that show that just didn't work for them?
Well, it could be a number of things, right? Perhaps the pacing was too slow, or the humor didn't land quite right, or maybe it just simply didn't tap into those core themes and anxieties that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's like trying to solve a mystery. What was it about those specific shows that turned this viewer off? It really highlights how subjective the experience of watching television can be.
Yeah, and it reminds us that even shows with the best intention and the most talented creators won't resonate with everyone. Taste is a fickle beast.
Yeah.
And there's no accounting for it sometimes.
Yeah, I guess that's true of art in general, right?
Exactly.
It's funny how we can have like such strong reactions to things we watched as kids. It's like those shows become part of our DNA or something. But getting back to this viewer's point about a decline in quality makes me wonder if there's a deeper reason why they feel that way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack there. For one, there's the undeniable power of nostalgia. The shows that we watched during childhood hold a special place in our heart, and it's easy to view them through those rose-tinted glasses, right? But beyond that, I think there are also legitimate concerns about the way the television landscape has shifted.
So it's not just about like missing the cartoons of our youth, but maybe also noticing a real difference in the content being produced today.
Exactly. The speaker specifically mentions a rise in what they call cheaper content, which could point to a shift in priorities for networks. Maybe they're focusing more on maximizing profits than investing in high quality programming.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with the rise of streaming services and the increased competition for viewers. But it's interesting because the speaker doesn't seem totally closed off to newer forms of animation. They actually mentioned being open to anime. Specifically shows like Bakugan, Beyblade Metal Saga, and Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D.
That's a great point. It suggests that their issue isn't with newness itself, but rather with a perceived lack of quality and creativity in some modern cartoons. And their interest in anime opens up a whole other conversation about, how animation styles and storytelling techniques differ across cultures.
That's a really fascinating area to explore. I'm thinking about how anime often deals with like more complex theme and more mature storylines compared to traditional Western cartoons, right? It's like a different approach to storytelling, one that embraces more nuanced characters and moral dilemmas.
Absolutely. And the popularity of anime globally really speaks to its ability to resonate with audiences across cultures. It's a testament to the universality of certain human experiences and emotions, regardless of where you're from.
Yeah. It's amazing how a cartoon can transcend borders and language barriers to connect with people on such a fundamental level. But let's get back to the speaker's experience with Cartoon Network in Israel specifically. They bring up an interesting point about the dubbing of shows and how that played a role in their viewing experience.
Yeah, this is a topic that often gets overlooked, but it's so crucial to how audiences engage with foreign language content. The speaker specifically mentions Teen Titans, which initially aired dubbed in Hebrew, but then switched to English with subtitles in later seasons. And apparently, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends wasn't dubbed at all.
Wow. That must have been jarring for viewers, especially those who are used to hearing the characters speak Hebrew. I wonder how those decisions about dubbing were made.
There are probably a lot of factors at play, budget constraints, licensing agreements, and maybe even cultural considerations. Like, for example, some networks might believe that younger viewers prefer dubbing because it's easier to follow, while older viewers might be more comfortable with subtitles.
Yeah, it makes you realize that a lot goes on behind the scenes to bring these shows to different countries. And it also raises the question of whether something is lost in translation when a show isn't dubbed in the viewer's native language.
That's a great point. Dubbing isn't just about replacing words. It's about capturing the the essence of the original performance and conveying that in a way that feels natural and authentic to the target audience. A good dub can actually enhance a show, bringing out nuances in the humor and dialogue that might be missed with subtitles.
Yeah, it's like giving the characters a new voice.
Yeah,
right, allowing them to connect with viewers on a deeper level. But it also requires a lot of skill and artistry. You need voice actors who can capture the original spirit of the characters, and translators who can understand the subtleties of both languages. Exactly.
It's a collaborative effort that requires a deep understanding of both the source material and the target audience. And when it's done well, it can create a seamless viewing experience that feels as if the show was originally created in that language.
It's like a magical illusion where language barriers dissolve and the story comes alive in a whole new way. But as the speaker points out, not all dubbing is created equal. They seem to be particularly critical of the rebooted Teen Titans Go series, which they just call awful and blame for the demise of the original show's animation style.
It's interesting how passionate they are about this. I think it speaks to a larger phenomenon. When it comes to reboots and reimaginings of beloved franchises, there's often this tension between honoring the original while also trying to appeal to a new generation of viewers. And not every attempt at modernization lands successfully.
It's like walking a tightrope between nostalgia and innovation, right? Sometimes you nail the landing and sometimes you faceplant spectacularly. But I'm curious about their specific criticism of the animation style. What do you think they're responding to there?
Well, it could be a number of things, right? Maybe they feel that the new style is too simplistic, or it lacks the visual flair of the original, or perhaps they associate the original animation with a certain tone or atmosphere that's missing in the reboot.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how much visual aesthetics contribute to our overall enjoyment of a show, and whether those preferences are shaped by the cartoons that we watched as kids.
That's a great question. It's like how certain music genres evoke specific memories or emotions. Our early exposure to art and media can have a lasting impact on our tastes and preferences.
Yeah, speaking of specific shows, the speaker also reserved some harsh words for Chowder, which he found to be terrible, and urged the channel to stop airing in favor of bringing back classics.
Ah, yes, Chowder, a show that definitely elicited strong reactions, both positive and negative. It seems like the speaker fell firmly into the negative camp. Right. It's a reminder that even within a specific genre, there will always be shows that divide audience.
Yeah. It's like that saying, one person's trash is another person's treasure. But it's fascinating how passionate this viewer is about what they watch, right? They're not just passively consuming content. They're actively engaging with it, critiquing it, and even advocating for certain shows over others.
It's a testament to how deeply these shows can impact us, even years after we've watched them. And it highlights the role that nostalgia plays in shaping our preferences and how we view contemporary media.
It's like those shows become part of our personal history, shaping our sense of humor, our understanding of storytelling, and even our worldview. And it's natural to want to protect and preserve those things that hold such a special place in our hearts.
Absolutely. And the speaker's desire to see those classic shows return speaks to a longing for a certain kind of storytelling, one that maybe they feel is missing from today's television landscape.
And this longing extends beyond Cartoon Network. The speaker also mentions Nickelodeon and Junior, both popular children's channels in Israel. It sounds like they're seeing similar trends there, with a shift away from what they consider quality programming.
That's intriguing. It suggests that this isn't just an isolated phenomenon, tied to one specific network, but perhaps a broader shift in the way children's entertainment is being produced and consumed.
It's like a sea change in the industry, with ripples spreading across multiple channels and platforms. But even amidst this perceived decline, the speaker manages to find some shows that they enjoy. They mention Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds and Beyblade Metal Saga on Junior as being standouts, even contrasting them favorably to the the original Bakugan series, which Junior apparently only aired a portion of.
That's a really interesting detail. It speaks to the speaker's evolving tastes and their ability to find gems, even in a landscape that they perceive as being flooded with less appealing content. And it raises the question of why certain shows get prioritized over others. Is it purely a matter of popularity, or are there other factors at play, like licensing agreements or scheduling constraints?
Yeah, it makes you wonder about the decision-making process behind what gets aired and how much control networks actually have over their programming.
It's like a complex web of negotiations and compromises, with creative vision often having to, jostle for space alongside business considerations. And the speaker's frustration with Junior only airing 24 episodes of Bakugan out of a much longer season speaks to the viewer's desire for completeness and continuity. Imagine trying to follow a complex storyline with huge chunks missing. It would be incredibly disorienting.
It's like trying to read a book with every other chapter ripped out. You'd get the gist of the story, but you'd miss out on so much nuance and detail.
Exactly, and it highlights the importance of careful curation and thoughtful programming, especially when you're dealing with shows that have intricate plots and character arcs.
And speaking of curation, the speaker makes an interesting observation about Cartoon Network acquiring and dubbing shows that originally aired on other networks. They specifically mention Invader Zim and My Life as a Teenage Robot as examples. It's like a trading system for cartoons.
That's a great way to put it. This practice of acquiring and dubbing shows from other networks is actually quite common in the television industry. It allows channels to diversify their programming without having to produce everything themselves.
Yeah, it's a smart strategy, especially when you consider the cost and effort involved in creating original content. But the speaker seems to believe that this reliance on acquisitions and dubbing has come at the expense of original programming, leading to a decline in overall quality. Do you think there's any merit to that argument?
It's certainly a valid concern. While acquisitions and dubbing play an important role in expanding programming options, they shouldn't come at the cost of investing in new and innovative shows. It's a delicate balance, and it's up to the networks to ensure that they're providing a diverse and engaging mix of content for their viewers.
It's like a chef trying to create a menu that appeals to a wide range of palates. You want to offer familiar favorites, but you also need to introduce new flavors and experiment with different ingredients to keep things fresh and exciting.
That's a great analogy. And just like a chef needs to stay on top of culinary trends, networks need to be aware of what's happening in the world of animation and be willing to take risks on new talent and innovative ideas.
Because ultimately, it's about nurturing creativity and pushing the boundaries of what animation can achieve, right? And that requires a commitment to originality and a willingness to invest in the future of the medium.
Absolutely. It's about ensuring that animation continues to evolve and thrive as a vibrant and dynamic form of storytelling, and it's about giving viewers, both young and old, access to a diverse and enriching range of content that inspires challenges and entertains.
Wow. This viewer's journey through Cartoon Network nostalgia has really highlighted the complex interplay between personal preference, industry trends, and the cultural impact of animation.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It's like we peeled back the layers of a seemingly simple topic and discovered a whole world of fascinating insights and thought-provoking questions.
And one of the most striking takeaways for me is this viewer's impassioned plea for people to record and share shows that aren't readily available online. They specifically call out Bakugan and Card Fight, Vanguard as examples. Yeah. Even acknowledging the legal gray area surrounding such acts.
Yeah, it speaks to the passionate desire, I think, among fans to preserve and share these beloved shows, especially when they feel like they're disappearing from public access. It highlights that tension between, copyright law and the accessibility of content.
It's like a tug of war between the rights of creators and the desire of fans to engage with the works that they love. And in the digital age, that tension is only becoming more pronounced, right?
Exactly. With streaming services constantly shifting their libraries and physical media becoming increasingly obsolete, there's a growing concern that certain shows might be, might be lost to time. And for passionate fans, that's a heartbreaking prospect.
It's like losing a piece of your childhood, right? The tangible connection to those formative experiences. And this viewer's plea to have these shows uploaded to Stendero, which is a popular Israeli streaming site. It speaks to their desire to share those experiences with others.
It's about creating a community archive, right? A space where these shows can live on and be enjoyed by new generations of viewers. And their specific focus on anime suggests that they see this genre as being particularly vulnerable to disappearing from public access.
Maybe they feel like anime, with its unique visual style and often complex storylines, isn't always given the same level of attention or preservation as other forms of animation.
That's a possibility, and it raises important questions about how we value and prioritize different forms of art and entertainment.
It makes you wonder if there's a hierarchy within animation itself, with certain styles or genres being deemed more worthy of preservation than others.
That's a fascinating question, and one that deserves further exploration. But for this viewer, the message is clear, right? They want these shows to be accessible, to be shared, and to be enjoyed, and their willingness to operate in a legal gray area speaks to their dedication to that cause.
Yeah, it's almost like a form of activism, a rebellion against the forces that threaten to erase these beloved shows from our collective memory. And it highlights the power of fandom to shape the cultural landscape and advocate for the preservation of works that hold deep personal meaning.
And that passion is infectious. It's hard not to be moved by their heartfelt pleas and their deep-seated love for these shows. And it makes you wonder if their efforts will inspire others to join the cause, to create their own archives, and to ensure that these stories continue to be told and enjoyed for generations to come.
It's a reminder that even in the digital age, where content seems ephemeral and fleeting, there's still a deep human desire to connect with stories that resonate with us, to preserve those memories and to share them with others.
And it's a testament to the enduring power of animation to transcend cultural boundaries, spark our imaginations, and leave a lasting impact on our lives.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've explored the world of Cartoon Network in Israel, examined the evolving landscape of children's entertainment, and delved into the complexities of dubbing and the passionate debates surrounding it.
We've also uncovered a wealth of insights into the power of nostalgia, the importance of representation, and the enduring appeal of animation as a form of storytelling.
And as we conclude this episode, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences with the shows we've discussed. What were your childhood favorites? How did those shows shape your tastes and your worldview?
And most importantly, what stories from your past are worth preserving and sharing with future generations?
It's been a pleasure joining you on this journey of cartoon nostalgia and media exploration. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those childhood memories alive.